I didn't say he killed his cat. 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 Context matters. Hey everybody, welcome back. Quick disclaimer, Dobby is fine and we love him. So context really does matter, doesn't it? Especially when it comes to reading the Bible. If we're not careful, we can come across a verse that just sounds so perfect and meaningful that we cling to it and we pull it out of its context and make it say something that the original author just did not intend. This week, I actually want to look at some very famous verses in the Bible that are often misquoted. So the first verse that I want to do that with, that we're going to look at, is arguably one of the most famous verses in the whole Bible. It's been made popular in locker rooms and sporting events, and Tim Tebow even used to put it on his eye black before football games. I am, of course, talking about Philippians 4:13. You know it, so let's say it from memory. Are you ready? I can do all things through him who strengthens me. And you gotta admit, that's a pretty good verse. But it's almost never quoted in context. What are the all things Paul is talking about there? Does he literally mean anything? Can I win a football game through Christ? Can I get an A on a math test through Christ? Can I ask out my crush through Christ? Is that what Paul is talking about here? So, of course, God can help us to do anything. However, that doesn't mean he will. Listen closely. God may not strengthen you or help you to do all the things that you want to do. In fact, God may not even agree with all the things you want to do. So what is Paul talking about here in Philippians 4:13? Let's look at the context. In other words, let's look at the scriptures surrounding Philippians 4:13. All right? We're going to start in verse 10. I rejoiced in the Lord greatly that now at length you have revived your concern for me. You were indeed concerned for me, but you had no opportunity. Not that I am speaking of being in need, for I have learned, in whatever situation I am, to be content. I know how to be brought low, and I know how to abound in any and every circumstance. I have learned the secret of facing plenty and hunger, abundance and need. I can do all things through him who strengthens me. Let's read the next couple verses. Yet it was kind of you to share my trouble. And you Philippians yourselves know that in the beginning of the gospel, when I left Macedonia, no church entered into partnership with me in giving and receiving except you only. So, two quick things to notice about the context here. One, Paul is talking about the ministry God has given him to preach Jesus and make Jesus known. Paul is talking about living for Christ. He's not concerned with winning games or making an A or asking out a girl. He's just not. He's not concerned with those things. He's concerned with what God has called him to do, to live for Christ and make Christ known. That, by the way, is what God has called all Christians to do. Believer, you are called to die to yourself and to live for Christ. And that means actually being concerned with the things of the Lord. Second, notice this. Paul is talking about being in great need, being low, and having great abundance. Here's a question that is at the heart of Philippians 4:13. How do I stay strong when I have cancer? How do I stay strong when a loved one is dying? How do I manage when my parents lose their jobs? The secret Paul is talking about is this. I know Christ. I treasure Christ. I trust Christ. And he becomes my strength in those times. That's what we do. But what about the opposite? What about when I'm up here? What if I get into an amazing college? What do I do if my parents are rich? What do I do if I find the perfect guy or girl that I think I could marry someday? Do I look at myself and say, look how awesome I am? No. I look to God with thankfulness and I say, all good things come from you. I don't deserve any of this. God, give me the strength to make all of these good things about you and your glory and not my own fame. Let's not diminish this verse to be about the little victories we want to have. Let's put this verse back in context and make it about what it's really about. God wants to be your strength right now through whatever hardship you're facing, and he wants to be the rock you will still stand on when everything seems perfect. This isn't about games. This is about knowing Christ and making him known. So let's do that. Let's do it.